Hello and welcome to Hard Times Season 1, Episode 4. Can't believe we've already made it this far. I'm Chris and I'm joined with Luke and Jordan. And this week we've got a very special episode dedicated to Jordan's time down on the South Coast, down at CYE. So firstly, boys, let's see how's everyone doing? How's your week been? Go to you first, Luke.
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, just the usual. I'm doing the same thing over and over again, really.
Yeah, aren't
Just
we all?
2 days of work, 4 days off, and then the 4 days off consist of basically staying in my house. I went to the pharmacy today
Nice.
to get more prescriptions. It wasn't too much of a hassle, actually. Just walk straight in.
Any Joe Wicks
Just
PE?
stand 2 meters apart. Huh?
Doing PE with Joe Wicks?
Haven't done any of that.
Oh, mate, that's what you've still got to do, the Tyson Fury one.
I watched the Tyson Fury one, yeah.
That's brilliant. Him and his workout, and then his wife, they're just yelling, and the kids, the music. Oh, they just make me laugh so much. I won't do their workout, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah, I love Tyson. Yeah, all good, really. Yeah, all good.
Cool, man. And George, how you doing, man? Another week in isolation by yourself?
Yeah, I've seen a few more people this week, and it's getting easier. Like, it's become the new normal. I hate to say that, and I do think things will go back to how they were before, but this is normal for the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
For this episode as well, I've moved.
Look at that view.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Right on the seafront.
That'll help your mood.
Yeah, those that can't see, it's a beautiful seafront down there. So you're on the ship, are you?
Yeah, on the front of the ship, and it's gorgeous. I need to utilise it more.
Yeah.
It's not windy. It's lovely and warm.
Yeah. And you've been healthy. You said you've lost some weight, which is always a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Unless it's because of diarrhea, that's never a good feeling. But
no, but it's a good way to lose it. Lockdown started, and I kind of lived like a prince for the first 2 weeks, like going to co-op, and I ate so much food that it's like you wouldn't even think. I ate peaches from a can, and the sugar in that, I put on a stone of weight, and I weighed myself today. I've managed to lose. I went from 14 to 15, and today is the point. I'm back down to 14 stone.
Oh wow, good metabolism, man. That's good. So a quick recap on last week. Some of the feedback that we had, Jordan, is that some people are amazed that you can consider yourself a tap, and that you're able just to stop mid-flow of weeing, and that you have no problems because it hurts.
About that.
Maybe I was thinking maybe it's because you're a little bit older than me, and it's just not.
I couldn't do it when I was younger.
No, like stop for a couple of seconds, but definitely not just I'm done.
Just stop and then go back and come back to it later.
Yeah.
I've never thought. This has never come up in conversation. When you guys didn't know how to do it, I was shocked.
We could tell.
Well, yeah,
that was cool. But anyway, enough about that. Enough about that story. Right, so this week we've got a very special episode dedicated all, some of the stories. I think we've sort of narrowed it down to just a few. So Jordan, why don't you share with us the first story of, it's very early on, wasn't it, your time down on the South Coast?
Yeah, first 2 weeks, might have been the third week in. And I was all like, I need to make a reputation for myself. I need to be the funny one and be the cool one. But anyway, so it's my turn to cook in the house. I don't know if I live there anymore. Obviously, I'm by myself now. But
there's a child in the background.
I know. I can see the child in the back. You can say hello, darling. Go on. There you go, then. There you go.
Great. There's always something happening at Chris's house.
Always.
So usually there's 7 people in this house that I live in, and it was my night to cook for them all. So I went over to the ship. I cooked whatever I was cooking. I was like,
let's just tell people what the situation is, because you say go over to the ship. People might think,
it's just such a random thing.
Just describe the scene.
I can describe it quite well. Unlike Stafford in the north, there's a building, and there's a field, and it's like got a lot of boats on it. And then there's a ship, and that ship can sleep 55 people. The building's got some offices in it, and then it's got a house for 7 people and changing rooms.
So you're by the marina, you're by the sea, aren't you? That's your location.
Yeah, that's what I just showed you. That's the harbour. That were really.
The ship doesn't move.
No, the ship's attached to the land. It does float. I'm floating right now. It's gorgeous. It's like an outstanding area of natural beauty. But it's quite far away from anywhere else. So within my first week here, I went to a charity shop and I bought a scooter because I thought that I could scooter to the train station and just like abandon the scooter and not matter. And once I get the train home, that I could just pick it up out of a bush and then scooter back to CYE easier on the legs. That does come into this story.
Okay.
So I finished cooking. Yeah, I was cooking. I was like, I need some cheese. So I grabbed the biggest bowl I could, this like big glass ceramic bowl. Went over to the ship, and we have a galley on the ship, which is like another kitchen, but we're not really meant to use it. Nice. So I stuffed it with as much cheese as possible with a huge bowl. And it was one of these nights where it was lashing it down with rain. I was just like, I just wanted to get back to my house quickly across like this wooden jetty and the back of the ship. So I scooted over to the ship.
I feel like Chris has got problems in his household over there.
I've got a wife and a daughter sneaking in and out, ruining the story.
Go on, carry on.
I scooted over to the ship, left my scooter on the back of the ship, got the cheese, and as I sprinted back out to get back on my scooter and get back across to the house, I hit this super slippery part of the gangplank holding this huge bowl of cheese. Ultimately, I stacked it and I smashed the bowl of cheese.
So is this during the day?
No, this is a night, so it's pitch black, lashing with rain.
So, because I thought that you had grabbed the cheese because you wanted like a snack or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
That might be it.
You told me the first time. You said you had this big bowl of cheese and it was in the ship, which is where the kitchen is.
Yeah.
And then you went out and then you ran out. So you ran in the middle of the night. It was pitch black.
I'll clarify. This happens more than like this is quite a regular occasion. You go to the ship to get something. Like it's not
what stacked it.
I was going to say brave, like the cheese is a regular thing.
So did you smash the bowl of cheese all over the ship?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to admit here, but it's a bit naughty me stealing that cheese in the first place. Yeah, I smashed the bowl of cheese. It went everywhere, and then I went and got a broom to try to clear it up. And I don't know if you ever, because it was raining, it was disgusting. If you've ever tried to sweep wet cheese, it essentially just becomes a paste, and it becomes a really sticky paste onto the base of the ship. Bearing in mind, the next day there's meant to be like the biggest group of the season, like 160 kids over 4 days coming onto the ship.
Because I remember you telling me this story the first time. I think it made me laugh about it. Was you were like, you smashed this bowl of cheese everywhere, and then you thought to yourself, the birds will get that in the morning.
Yeah.
You said to the birds will get that in the morning. So I thought what happened was that you left it, and then in the morning someone found all this cheese all over the place. And then I remember you saying to me, you came out and you went, flipping birds.
So I'll clarify a few things. It was I did try to sweep it, that failed, and then I was like, well, the seagulls will just eat it, won't they? I was like, obviously, and that's why I left it. That's why I left such an obviously I picked up the glass, but majority of the cheese was just scattered over the back of the ship. So then when I went,
so bad.
So then my boss, Lou, the chief, she'd been into the galley and she'd seen that I'd left some cheese in the galley, and she was like, oh, that's not good. Then she was like, Jordan, where's the cheese? Like, why is there cheese everywhere? And that's where I was like flipping seagulls. So I was like, they didn't eat it at all. They left it. And so I went on to, and she actually hadn't seen the back of the ship.
Oh, really?
Like, she'd only seen the galley.
And she only saw a minor part of the real mess that you caused.
Yeah, and then she did see the back of the ship, and it was one of those cases of clean this up. Like, you've got a job to do. Quite responsible of you, Jordan.
So it's like back to the catch poles. You've actually got to clean up your mess and not let someone else do it.
But you'd think the birds would eat it, wouldn't you? Like, it's food. Like, seagulls eat everything.
I don't know. I don't often leave random food bits out to test what birds eat.
I never thought of seagulls eating cheese, to be honest.
Yeah. They usually eat my chips, is what the seagulls eat.
Yeah, we don't actually get them. We don't actually get many seagulls in the harbour, and I know that now, but I didn't know that at the time.
That was a good, yeah. That was an educated guess that went wrong then.
Okay.
So
you managed to get away with that one relatively scot-free.
No, I
so
felt
you tripped up, did you?
the telling off was like, it was pretty, not brutal, but it was at the time I was like trying to make a name for myself as like Jordan. It was like, oh, Jordan's a bit of an idiot who leaves cheese everywhere.
So you're trying to make a name for yourself, but the name that you got was the guy that leaves cheese all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't clean it up.
That's a good story. I think we'll move on to one of Luke and mine favourite, the date, Jordan. Should we move on to that one? Do you think, Luke?
Yeah, this is a great one.
Yeah.
So paint the scene here, George.
Yeah, I'll really go to town on this one. So it was a nice day. It was slightly windy, but not enough. Like probably like today, like a few, like you can feel the wind on your face.
Wow, this is a long version of it, isn't it?
Bosham
Feel
is
the
a
wind.
town all the way down there. I have since swam to Bosham, but within my first 3 weeks here, I can remember it was in the first 3 weeks because I've led the group this year. St Mark's, a group from London was here, and I was like, I want to swim to Bosham, and that's what I did. I got my wetsuit on. People were like, Jordan, do you know, like, you don't know a lot about the tides. You're new here. I was like, it's not like I can do that. That'll be fine.
You're like,
you're a walking
I'm
miracle.
tougher than the tides.
Yeah, you are a walking miracle. I tell you that now.
So I got my short wetsuit on, put my buoyancy aid on, and
So you wore a life jacket?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at least that's a bit more sensible. I didn't expect that from you, to be honest, mate.
I was nervous enough. I was nervous enough that I wouldn't. I did doubt myself a little bit. Anyway.
So how far is it to Bosham? Do you know how far?
3K maybe.
3K.
No. Two and a bit K. Like far enough. It would take.
Yeah,
it takes
that's a fair old journey.
Yeah, that's quite a journey.
To swim there, it's like I think that some people I might have got that wrong, but it takes you. I swam it, in I think half an hour ish.
It's not 3K then.
I don't know if I can. Wait, let me turn my camera on. I'm really going to town on the description.
Yeah.
It's off in the distance. It's over there.
Okay, so we've set the scene. It's 3K away ish.
So it's a distance.
And you just one day a group was in and you just decided to swim.
I wasn't working in the group. It was one of my days off. The tide was coming in, and I was like, I'll swim to Bosham, and then when the tide goes out, I'll swim back out with the tide to CYE. Anyway, what ended up happening is it was quite busy. It was September, so there was a lot of boats. So I was trying to stick to the side of the channel, and I saw this boat coming towards me. It was getting nearer and nearer and nearer, and so then eventually I stood up and put my hand up to let them know that I was here. I swam to the side, and then carried on swimming.
So you were quite shallow then?
Well, the harbour's quite like it's not a steep drop, like it's quite so you can be not touching the floor, then swim for like 5 meters into the land, and then you'd be standing.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I saw this canoe. This canoe got quite close to me, and then eventually, as it was by my side, I realised that it was Johnny, one of the guys who was doing this trainee year with me, and his girlfriend Natalie. I don't know what stage of the relationship they were in, but I knew it was quite like a nice romantic date. Like they had champagne and cider, and they'd gone to Bosham, sat on the green. Essentially, the perfect date. And on the way home, they saw me, and we thought we'd have a little chin wag. We talked. I didn't know it was a bit of a weird
You're in the water at this point, yeah? You're in the water talking to him.
I'm floating.
You swam past and just stopped by the boat and said, "Oh, hi guys."
Hello, fancy a chat.
I rested my legs on the side of their canoe as a joke. I was like, "Whoa, knock you in." Wasn't ever going to do that. Yeah, and then eventually it got time that I realised that I wanted to crack on my swim. I was getting cold just sitting there. So I was like, see you guys later. And all innocence. There was no militia. I wasn't trying to do this. I thought I'll give them a kick off. I'll give them a boost. Back to CYE. I'll give them a nice kick. So I put both my feet on the side of the canoe. I don't know why I put them on the side because that should go push them the wrong way anyway. I gave him a kick, and the next thing I know, I saw Johnny falling on top of me with his girlfriend. He was upside down, and suddenly bottles. I didn't know they had alcohol, but suddenly bottles of champagne that hadn't been opened, like that comes flying out the water. Like, because it's gone down, it's like bobbed up stuff. I'm trying to like grab stuff. Johnny's got his phone in his pocket. So we dragged the canoe up onto the mud. It's tons of mud when the tide's out. It's not like a beach. It's disgusting mud.
It's really
we drained
thick
the,
mud, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, we drained
That
the
you get
canoe.
stuck in and like sink into.
Yeah,
Oh,
I will get
nasty.
onto that. And I drained the canoe onto me and then set them on their way, but they weren't. Johnny was really angry.
What was he saying to you at this point? So you capsized them, and then you kind of help them get back and.
And then they just disappeared.
There was a lot of bad words exchanged, but kind of out of anger. But he wasn't trying to direct them at me, so I'm not going to say the words.
But who else was he directing them at?
Under his breath, he was kind of like, oh, that.
Oh, that mud. Oh, that pigeon.
What did his girlfriend say?
She was silent. She didn't say a word.
She was the most angry then.
So, and then they left, and so I carried on my swim to Bosom. Got to Bosom, and then I was like, I timed it horrendously. So the tide was still coming in. It was coming in for 3 more hours, and I was like, I really want to go home. So I was like, I'll try swim home. I'm an okay swimmer. I thought I was a good swimmer at this point. So I left, and I got around. I swam for around 15 minutes, but it was against the tide, so I got nowhere. And then I was like, I'd never been in the mud at this point. I was like, oh, I'll just climb up across the mud, and then I'll just run down the seawall, and then I'll be at CYE. So that's what I did. But I got about halfway across the mud, and I was sinking in so deep that it was going like, up to my thighs in mud. I was trying to like crawl through it, absolutely caked. Like, I tried to stand it a few times. I just fell, smacked down. It gets everywhere. It stinks.
So you're like crawling up this mud to get back up to the path.
Oh,
or whatever.
man.
At this point, like I was just exhausted, like lying flat in the mud, and I just heard. I looked up, and a Chinook Army helicopter is coming across across the channel. And in my head, I was like, I almost saw. I was like, oh my days, that's for me. I was like, they're coming to rescue me. And I was kind of, I was kind of scared.
In the mud.
I was half scared, and I was half relieved. And then it flew away, and I was like, oh no, that wasn't for me. I was coming at the stage of like, that's not good, but praise Jesus. So someone's seen me and called it. Anyway, so I
Probably Johnny thinking that probably Johnny looking at you thinking he's not going to last long out there. We're going to have to send some backup.
So anyway, I got up to CYE, and there was this school from London. The only reason I'm saying it from London, that they're usually kids of like a different race, and it looked like I just insulted them. I'm not. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
Don't.
I'll avoid this subject.
Just avoid.
Basically,
Yeah, that's the story.
That's it. Then.
yeah, that's the end. So basically, you got caked in mud, and then you walked home, did you?
Yeah, and it kind of dried onto me as I walked, and it stinks. It's like it's like sulfur in the mud.
Oh.
So you came home caked in mud.
Yeah, when I say caked, I don't do it justice, but absolutely covered. I had to lie in the sea and like wash in the sea before I could even think about going inside.
What did your boss say?
Yeah.
They were all trying to launch boats on the beach, and then I came down just covered and just washed next to them as they were launching their boats. And then
they like look at you really confused, like what the heck have you just done?
Ben Sacco was something like that. No one really questioned the mud. I was kind of like quite dramatic about it. I was like, "Thought I was gonna die," and then they were all like, "Johnny is angry."
That was
my heart dropped, and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "His phone's destroyed." I'm like, "Oh." And then I was like, "I'll pay for your phone." They still haven't got the bill.
You haven't paid him yet.
Never sent a bill.
Oh no!
Did they lose anything?
How long did it take for Johnny to forgive you?
I don't know. He gave me a phone at the end of the summer, so I broke my phone. I went, me and Brookie, it was the hottest day of the summer, this guy called Matt Brook, and we had to anchor the rib off the beach. So someone had to swim for it, and me and Brookie were like, I'll swim for it. So we sprinted into the sea, got swimming. I got about halfway on Bank Holiday Monday, and I was like, no! I opened my buoyancy and took my phone out, and because I've been swimming, it was destroyed. I had to swim back to the beach.
No.
I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, big hat, swim back to the beach with my phone. It was gone.
That's brilliant.
Johnny replaced that phone. So thank you for forgave me by that.
Yeah. What were the first words that he said to you, like when you did see him again? Did he have a smile on his face, or was it?
Well, I saw him leaving the building. I tried to say sorry, and he ignored me.
Oh, yeah.
Is he still with his girlfriend?
I'm not sure. I'm not going to say.
So yeah.
Oh dear.
Wow. I love the fact that if they are,
that's pretty epic. That one.
like, if they are still together, how they'll tell this story, like of their first date, or so that their perfect planned date.
The best man.
That was ruined by a seal covered in mud. Like, oh dear.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
That's a good story though, and that's a good story. Right, so I feel as if we need to talk about a story where you had a. I'm not sure if you had a run-in with the law, but you definitely met some, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, not really. So I'll set the characters for the story. There's so there's Rob, who is like driving. There's me in the front passenger seat, and Johnny is in the middle of the back. Same Johnny.
Same Johnny.
And Johnny needs to be dropped into a town in Chichester. And so I was like, I'll come for the drive. Rob was going to drive him. And we got out of CYE. And you have to drive down some little lanes. We got to this T-junction on our private estate. And this big Range Rover drove past us with its window open, a guy in a mask, and then a gun hanging out the window. And the gun swept us.
What time is this?
This is like 8 at night.
Is it in the summer? Is it in the summer?
No,
or is it in the
winter. Like April, early April.
So it was dark then, yeah.
Yeah, like late March, early April. It was definitely dark. It was,
and so then a guy in a mask with a gun hanging out the window.
Yeah, the gun like swept our car, and we were like, we looked at each other and we were like, did we just see a gun? And then as we turned away from them, like where they just come from, all the lights on their car, they essentially turned their car off. And so we drove maybe 10 minutes.
So what were you thinking at this point?
Well, the Goodwood estate had been robbed. Johnny Bull had said, and he was like, the Goodwood estate has been robbed in the last few years by armed people with guns. So we were like, that's going to happen to Diana. Diana's a really rich woman who lives quite near here. We're like, they're going to rob Diana.
It really escalated the story of, I've seen a person, they're going to rob Diana. So that was your train of thought.
Well, you don't often see people like with guns.
No, you don't.
You don't. Yeah, I would have thought that.
I called the police, and you know when you call like an emergency service, they go, "What do you need? Ambulance, police, or fire?" I responded with armed police because they've got a gun. I want to be setting the police up to succeed. I don't want to be giving them.
Police.
I need the guys with the guns. So then like, I had this phone call, told them my location, and we got to a town called Fishbourne, and we called. And the woman was like, under no uncertain circumstances are you to return to where you saw them. So the first thing we did was turn around in the car park and razz back here. We wanted to see the armed police like get some action with these guys. We didn't know what was going to happen. And we didn't tell the police we were going back, so they don't think that we're in danger anymore. They're not going to go into a situation if there's not a need to. So that explains everything. So we got back to CYE. And then we went on foot. We couldn't find the Land Rover. We thought they maybe have escaped. So we went walking, and then suddenly, out in the distance, we just hear it. It doesn't have any lights on. Suddenly, its lights turn on and then off. And I got my phone ready. I don't have the phone because I'm recording it, but I got my phone, and I was like, if they like get near enough, if they threaten us, I'm going to scream, "Oh, please!" with my phone, and hope that they think that's and hope that that's enough to.
Oh no! Imagine if they were robbing some person, and then there's you with a phone.
Oh please!
And then they start shooting you.
Yeah, and then there's a shootout with me with a phone. Anyway, so I ran back to another field, and I kind of left the group of people that I was with. Lucy had joined us. This girl from the cottage, lovely girl. Woman, she's a woman.
Okay.
It's not a boy.
Episode 5, Jordan's Love Life.
Lovely girl. Lovely girl.
Anyway, I hid in this trench, like in this little like irrigation ditch, nowhere near anyone else. And this Land Rover drove into the next field and kind of like parked like directly looking at me. And I stood up and it turned its headlights on, so it like highlighted me. And then I started sprinting towards the cottage
like a meerkat.
Yeah, yeah. And I was sprinting down this like lane with no escape, thinking
Why did you
it's
stand up?
I don't know. So I was sprinting, thinking it's about to run me down. I'm
Or
about to
shoot
get
you.
run over or shot. I'm about to get killed. My heart rate has never been going more. I thought the armed police are meant to be coming down any second, but because because I told them we're not going back to the scene of the crime, they don't need to come down. They'll wait up there for everyone. So I burst into the cottage where I'm living right now. I just scream, "Man with gun!" I start turning the lights. I start turning all the lights off. I was like, I can't let them see. I'm just like, man with gun. And Brookie's having a poo, and he's like, Jordan. And in his mind, he's like, I'm in a safe space. If someone's trying to trick me, it doesn't matter. I'm having a poo. If there is a man with a gun, I'm locked in a room. I'm safe. Anyway, so I turn all the lights off, and then I see.
So this is a cottage where people just live, and they're just minding their own business, and then you run in shouting,
Man with gun.
Luce is one of them. Anyway, so I see this Land Rover pull into a field opposite the cottage. And so then in my mind, I know that there's a gate to that field. And then the hero started, and I was like, the armed police have to be set. The armed police have to be
Whoa, let's just stop a second. What happened? The hero what?
part of his brain.
The hero
The
part
hero
of
part of his brain engaged. I'm going to save the day.
And I realised that the armed police must be like a minute away. We called them ages ago. They have to be close. So I set off. I opened the cottage door, and in my head I was like thinking I was running towards people who I've just seen with guns. So I was like, I was getting pretty pumped up for like a fight. I was getting ready to be shot.
Rambo, here we go.
Wow.
And I get the gate. I was trying to do it like quietly but fast, and I just slammed the gate shut. But at this point, Rob had called me. He was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm trapping them in the field. I've trapped them." And then because the light on my phone was so bright, I then sprinted away. Rob was doing the same thing, and we smacked into each other. The Land Rover at this point had heard the gate slam shut, so it then like boom, like turns around.
This is
And then
like some episode of some show. You ran into each other.
Yeah, me and Rob can't get to the cottage because the Land Rover is now getting back to that gate. So we run to some parked cars and lie down in between them. And then we hear the doors open. This is the first time the doors have opened. So we were nervous. And suddenly we hear like a, and we were like, they've shot, like before in our heads, a warning shot. They've just shot a warning. And then what we saw, a Mini drove past. That was Johnny and Lucy leaving. they were fucking out. Johnny still had to go out. Johnny was still going to Wetherspoons.
I love that. He's still thinking about having a pint. He's like, we could be being invaded by people with guns, but I need to get to Wetherspoons.
Well, it's safer at Spoons, isn't it? So
this is kind of like 9, like a bit later. What I'll split to their part of the story now. What they experienced is they got up the lane, and an armed police Land Rover followed them, went up beside them, and was weaving behind the road behind them, trying to figure out if they were the guys with the guns. Because what the armed police have done, and all the police, they've set up 2 huge checkpoints. At the end of a lane, there's 2 pubs. Like the lane car splits like a fork. And they've set up like big, like 12 cars in each, and then more on the roads, all armed. They've come from everywhere. They come from like Portsmouth, like the nearest place is Lewis. So the Lewes Up Riot Squad has come. And at this point, I called the police again, and I was like, "They've shot us! They've shot!" And they were like, "Obviously, they don't know that I'm down there." So I'm like, "They've shot a warning shot." And then the car came into the estate. I've shone its lights near us a little bit more, and then drove off. And I was like, "They've left. And the police don't take this word lightly. The operator was like, "I need to speak to my inspector." And then she said, "Don't worry, we've got tons of units on the way." What me and Rob then saw, we stood up, and there was already tons of cars at the 2 pubs. What we saw was just a haze of blue coming from Chichester towards us. The police are getting ready for a shootout. And then
what a brilliant description.
Off in the distance, we hear it, and the police helicopter is now overhead. This Land Rover, what the police protocol is, they're not going to pull someone over with a gun in a place where there's more people. So what the police did, they followed this bloke home. They came and interviewed me, Rob, and Brookie, and talked to us. And then the police went into action. From what I've heard, I'll explain the next bit. So I went into work the next day. This all finished, and I was like, I saved Diana Bill. I was a hero. The police said, well done. The police were like, next time, don't lock them in the field, but well done for all you've done. Like
next time, don't lock them in the field. As if it's a next time.
Yeah.
Next time you're in an armed response situation, don't go lock them in a field.
This is Rambo 1. Rambo 2's next week.
So and then I got to Boston. We took a group to Boston the next day. I'd had to brief a group, and I told the group that was arriving that night, and I was like, everyone stay on the ship. The police are coming. If you hear sirens and anything else, don't worry. Thinking there was going to be like a firefight. I had to like see why here's a policy for this sort of stuff. So I got to Boston.
Disclaimer.
And this group of like heard rumors and stuff, and I was telling them, and I was like, I had to call the police last night. And Lou, my boss, came up to me, and she was very serious. She was like, Jordan, you need to stop telling people about what happened last night, because the armed police, the Lou's riot squad, busted this old man's door down for shooting rabbits with his grandson, and they arrested him. And apparently, what had happened, he'd gone up the lane, and the same thing had apparently happened to him. The police had followed him from a safe distance. The helicopter had followed him. He realised that he's being followed by the police. He gets home. He gets like ready for bed and stuff. And then apparently, what the police did, they evacuated his whole street. They evacuated the houses next door. They got dogs. They got dogs and stuff ready, and then they breached. Like usually the police go in. Like they call you out first. It's like, gentlemen in this house, come out the house. They didn't. Like a SWAT team. Give him a chance. They were in. They arrested him. They didn't arrest him. They nearly they went in with guns. They went in heavy apparently. They smashed the door in. Insurance had to cover that, and this poor bloke was just shooting rabbits on the estate. And just a series of unfortunate events later.
And didn't they have permission from the owner as well to shoot rabbits?
Yeah, they were fully allowed, and they were allowed to sit with the gun out their window and in mask because it's a private estate, not the road. So they were fine doing all this.
So did you get any repercussions of that, or what happened after that?
No, I got told essentially no, the people who own the estate probably should have told us, because we got told, well done, you did the right thing, just don't go into the field again. Like if that was to happen again, don't do that.
Yeah.
You put yourself in harm's way. So I was very I was trying to keep this quiet, but it's become one of these stories. It's a bit of like a legendary story. It's very good to tell with a group of people.
Well, when it costs that much taxpayers' money to fix it, it's a legendary story.
And you've just SWAT teamed old guy and his grandson, basically.
I thought I was going to die, and it turns out
it doesn't.
With all the resources that Portsmouth and Lewis can afford.
I mean, Jordan, if you'd come up from the ditch, they could have thought you were a rabbit. They could have shot you.
Not the bit where they shone their lights at you and you just stood up. Like, what did you do? Did you have your hands up, or did you just stood up?
No, I was lying there, and then so they turned the headlights on, and I was like, well, they obviously think I'm here. So that's when I stood up and then just bolted. So I made like contact with the car. Like they saw me, and as I ran. But the funny thing is, I haven't seen him here since. I've seen him shooting up in the fields further yonder, but not on the estate at all.
I wonder why.
Well, I'm not surprised, mate. Jeez.
Oh, that is one beastly story.
No, that is one of the best ones.
Wow. Jordan, would you, if you had to do it all over again, would you do it again?
If I do things differently.
Have you learned anything from this episode, do you think?
He's a different man.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot, but I don't know what I can say. I just wouldn't like a lot of what I've learned about like situations like that where you're like panicking and stuff's going a bit wrong. I've just learned to not panic and like just keep calm. Like if I've had situations like at CYE where I've been in a boat and it's capsized, and then a girl's gone underneath it. Like
I've heard stories about you doing this, man. I've heard like you've done some really heroic things, like with people on the water, man.
Yeah, I hope you could tell you that. Some people like gone in their boats and like trapped underneath it, and like if you start to panic, if you're like, oh my days, I need to call the police. Oh my days, this is crazy. Then you'll make mistakes. But if you're like, if you keep your head on and then you like you use your training and you use the stuff you know, you stay calm, then you can just like drive over and like you're still like
you're
still stuff. But
my favourite vision of this is just thinking of you running into the house shouting, "Man with gun!"
I couldn't think of the words.
Your mate is just sitting there drinking a beer or something like.
Hey, I got all the information.
Next thing you know, Jordan bursts in, "Man with gun!"
That's brilliant. Right, Jordan, have you got a quick excerpt for us from your book today or something to feedback?
We'll use the thought of keeping calm.
So basically, what's happened? What did you bring your book, Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan. The one job you have each week.
I'll tell you what. I didn't bring the book. I brought. Oh, it's horrendous. No, I didn't bring the book.
Oh, mate.
Nice. Oh, brilliant. Okay, lads.
Right, so what are you going to do then? You're just going to give us a thought for the day?
Stay calm.
Stay calm.
Start eating now. There you go.
He's eating. Stay calm. Eat raisins.
Yeah.
Happy days. Well, good episode, boys.
Cool. All right, guys. It's been great to hang out with you. Next week, episode 5. We don't know what we've got planned yet. Might be a bit more random. I think we've got some stories around some fire and some other bits and pieces. So we'll see how we get on. Cool. This has been Hard Times, episode 4. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.